Okay, I think I'm good. I got my water. I got my phone. I don't have any notes or anything. This is going to be really off the cuff. Which, if this works, oh Jesus, there goes my water. Fuck. Oh fuck. I don't even deserve water. Well, that was stupid. If you're not watching the visuals, this will be on the GMat Podcast's YouTube channel. So if you want to see me knock over a giant fucking cup of water and ruin my floor, go for it. Welcome, gang, to GMat Diary entry number 1. What is this? I'm not really sure. Let me tell you something about me. I am neurotic, and also a bit of a narcissist. And when you get those two things clashing, when they combine, it can get a bit. You have to come up with ways to make your the negative sides of your personality more palatable, particularly to the people that you're intimate with, romantically and just like platonically, like friends and partners, and family. I just don't say a goddamn word. Let me put it like this. When I was in high school, I had a girlfriend. And it's that first girlfriend. You're in high school. You're literally the worst version of yourself when you're in high school. And so I was discovering this this neurotic narcissism in real time. A descriptor I sometimes use, I don't know if this lines up with neurotic narcissism, but like I say like, I'm this perfect balance of self-hatred and ego. Where like one day I'm like, I'm so fucking good. I'm like the coolest person in the world. And then the next day I'm like, I'm fucking trash. It's this almost bipolar opinion of yourself. But it's all grounded in narcissism. If you're constantly thinking about how terrible and shitty you are, that's still narcissism. Because most people don't go through their lives constantly thinking about how their personality impacts the world. Because most people realize that we're just not that important. So that's something when I was, young, dumb, and full of BMX envy, that would be something that I put onto my girlfriend at the time when I was in high school. Suffered probably more of the brunt of this than any other person in my life ever has. Because you're in high school, A, and you're a little dickhead. B, I'm romantically involved with someone who I think is far superior to me, mentally, emotionally, physically, whilst also being this like, I'm pretty cool too, and I deserve a certain blah, 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 blah. Throw that neurocracy on, neurocracy? Is that a word, neurocracy? Fuck, I can't talk. Being neurotic. So everything that she did was obviously was meant at me in some way. When she was nice to me, she was doing it for a reason. When she was, not talking to me because she's doing something else, that's obviously her letting me know that she's pissed off with me. Now, I say obviously because that's not the case. I say obviously because that's how my brain functions, and how my brain functioned very much at that time, aggressively. So it's you thinking, oh, I fucking suck, and no wonder she would do this to me, or no wonder my friends would be doing this, and really they're just going through their lives. Another person who suffered the brunt of this is Ben. And again, it comes down to your connection with that person and how you value yourself to that person. And it's unhealthy. I don't know if anyone listening to this does it, but you shouldn't value yourself to other people. You shouldn't be ranking yourself to other human beings constantly. Now, obviously doing theater, doing performing, doing streaming has... I would actually, let's cut streaming out of that, because streaming's actually been really healthy for my brain. Doing musical theater and being in a cutthroat environment with cutthroat people and trying to ascend to the higher social status, really perpetuates these feelings, these behaviors, because you are consistently ranking yourself up against other people. And it gets clicky. Clicks are a great way to rank yourself against other people. Auditions, rejections, great way to rank yourself up against other people. It was, I was already feeling these feelings when I was like 14, 15. And then I go into this and it perpetuates those feelings and you become an incredibly neurotic, narcissistic person. So, yeah, people like Ben and that girlfriend, probably the two people who've copped the most of it, they'll just be going through their life and then I'll think they're doing something to affect me. And they're like, I'm not even like around you. This has literally nothing to do with you. And you're making it about you. I was getting coffee with my mum. And you think, oh, you didn't invite me to coffee, you must hate me. Why don't you hate me now? Give me something to show me that you love me. And then you become needy and then relationships crumble. And they did. That one crumbled very aggressively. Ben, on the other hand, taught me a lot about, I guess he had sort of the foresight or the hindsight. I don't know where he learnt this to be like, you know what you're doing right now? And I'd be like, shit, I am doing that. Or at least, when you're in high school, I don't think my girlfriend at the time neither one of us had, remembering as well, she's also in high school. I wasn't dating an adult woman. That would be illegal. I was in high school with her and neither of us have the emotional, what's the word? Why can't I think or talk today? We're not emotionally mature. So she doesn't have the emotional maturity to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and say, hey, let me put my hand on your hand and let me tell you something. I care about you or I love you or whatever. If this happens, this is not me, I'm not doing this as an attack or anything like that. I care about you, but you need to relax so that we can, just enjoy our time together and don't ruin it by being you. Which is something I've heard before. Beck was really wise with this. And that was where I started. Dating Beck was where I started to stop these behaviors and actually work on them a bit. They would crop up from time to time, but instead of cropping up every day, they would crop up once every 6 months. And they wouldn't end in an argument. They'd end with that, putting your hand on a hand and saying, look, I care about you. I love you. These behaviors have nothing to do with you. This is a you problem and I care about you and I'll help you get through it. But just know this is not on me. This is on you in a kinder way. I can't see if the high school girlfriend had done that, I'd have been like, what the fuck is your problem? Emotional immaturity. Anyways, so I learned this about myself, probably closer to, 20, 21 years old. I started to realize what my behaviors do to other people and why I have those behaviors. And now I'm a firm believer that I need an ego. I couldn't do this. Now, this being a new sort of podcast thing will get 10 views. But you'd be shocked to know that this is how I make a living. And I make a living pretty successfully. I'm very, very lucky to be in the position that I am. But I can't do this job if I don't have a certain ego. Because I need to believe that people care what I think. Not in the way that it would affect how they behave, but that they want to hear. They have a certain perspective of me in their brain. They find me either annoying, laughable, embarrassing. Or on the flip side, the good side, they find me entertaining, funny, occasionally wise, which is I don't recommend that as a perspective, but sometimes that happens. So I need to have an ego that people tune in to my streams, my YouTube, and my podcasts to hear what I have to say and to laugh with me. So that part of my ego, I'm totally okay with having. You got to check it every now and again to make sure that you don't cause problems for the people in your life, and you don't become unreasonably full of yourself. But I think it's important. What isn't important is the neurocracy, or if that's not a word, being neurotic. So doing that thing that I'm talking about, which is where someone's doing something and you really, the best way to describe it is just getting inside your head. I have a habit of getting inside my head. So if I have a bad interaction with someone, fuck me off. That'll ruin the rest of my night, or that'll ruin the rest of time until I get a chance to talk to that person and break it down and make sure that everything's all cool. That is unbelievably tiring for me and the people that I do it to. And that's not a good thing to burden other people with, is your own neurocracy. I'm going to keep saying neurocracy, assuming it's a word. It's a wild thing to do to people. Do it once, do it twice, do it 3 times, do it 100 times, and it's about time you start to listen to what people say and maybe apply a little bit of logic to the situation. But like I said, that's just not what happens. You just sit with yourself and you get in your head, and you also create this is something Ben said once, you create a whole story that hasn't happened. Because I go, man, that was interesting that he said that in that way to me. I wonder what that means. Or that's interesting that she said this thing, which obviously was intentional. Because when people talk, they're 100% intentional. It's not just a flow of consciousness. It's not just how conversation fucking works. Sometimes you use words like neurocracy. That may not be the right word, but that's just you talking. But I think everything this person said was intentional and was meant for a reason. And then you sit with it and you create a story. And I said, well, they must have said that because blah, blah, blah. And then you message them later and they're like, hey, what's up? Oh, nothing. I'm just hanging out with blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why are they hanging out with blah, 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 blah? Oh, I bet they're talking shit about me, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? Blah, 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 blah would say this because then they would say that. And, I bet they're going back and forth. And now they're going to think that because of that time that happened. My God. And you call them later and you're like, what the fuck is your problem? And they're like, what the Jesus Christ? And you're like, you fucking, yeah, you know what you said. And they're like, no, I was just talking. And I chose that word. It's not even a word I would stick to. If I could go back in time and rewrite this, if this was a script, that would be the first draft and I'd cut that out because that's not what I meant. That was just a word I was, take a look inside my fucking mind there. So that'll happen. But part of being a functional adult human is growing and trying your best to be the best version of yourself. I'm so sorry. I could see how overexposed this camera is. I thought this would be funny. I thought for the diaries, it would be funny to just have a funny camera angle that's just somewhere random, like staring at the back of my head or something like that. And this one I'm now realizing is super overexposed. So when you're an adult, you want to try and squash these behaviors. Get rid of them. Or at least learn how to adapt them so it doesn't burden the people that you love. And something I started doing was writing diaries. So I have a folder on my computer filled with diaries. Diary 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like I literally say diary number 1, diary number 2, diary number 3. And it's just me sitting down and going, all right. And I just start writing. Now, I'm not writing fucking, what's happening to me that day. Oh, I woke up this morning and I had a glass of juice and then I jacked off and then I jacked off again in the shower and then I punched a cat. This is ludicrous. I'm being a dickhead. Point is, it's not like a diary like that. I go, all right, here's what's on my brain. Like literally the diary will read like a fucking, like a schizophrenic. It's just me throwing out thoughts. And I talk to myself in the diary. I go, now, Matt, it won't read. If I could release it to you, I wouldn't because there's a lot of private stuff in there. But like you would see me typing and sentences not finishing with full stops. They just go into other things. It doesn't matter because I don't go back and read it. It's a place for me to get this shit out of my body before I put it onto someone else. And that's a really important tool that I recommend to everybody. You don't have to be a neurotic narcissist. But if you find yourself being something that Sienna and I share, I think it's part of this neurotic narcissism. But we're both very reactive people. If you're a reactive person and something happens and you go straight to this person, or something happens and you go straight to this group, or, if you're finding yourself having something happen and then instantly getting on the phone or getting on a call or whatever, or going to them face to face to be like, we need to talk about this. I can't stress enough how useful it is to just go to a computer and type it out first. Get it off your chest. Take some of that emotional weight and plonk it onto this computer, which it's got plenty of terabytes to handle all your emotions. Plonk it there, take a breath, and then I promise you 9 times out of 10, you will do that and you'll go, oh, this isn't worth talking to this person about. And then guess what you do there? You keep your relationship strong with these people because you're not burdening them with your bullshit, which 9 times out of 10 you realize is bullshit. Or it's a conversation that's not worth having. And nothing is more strenuous on a friendship, a relationship, any kind of ship, than unnecessary conversations. It's tiring. And I promise you, if you're someone who has had unnecessary conversations and found it to be a problem, you probably do it a lot with a lot of people. If you can think of more than 2 or 3 unnecessary conversations, you probably had about 100. If you've got one, maybe you fucked up once and did it. But still, it's a very, very useful tool to just put it on paper. Same deal goes if you've got a message you want to send, someone's really fun, you want to send this big fucking thing and go, fuck you. You got a boyfriend who cheated on you, or a partner who said something inappropriate in front of your parents, or you got something, or a friend who said something behind your back. I would recommend this. Type it out, sleep on it. You will wake up the next day 100% of the time. You will wake up the next day glad you didn't send it. Now, that's not me saying you won't send it. I'm just saying you're glad you didn't send it when you were at 100, when your emotions were peaked. That's a tool that I don't really react like that. Mine is more about the getting out of my head and putting it onto. But I know plenty of people in my personal life who could benefit from this tool, because reactive personalities get very old when you get closer to 30 and closer to 40, closer to 50. As you get older, you realize that some personalities are more work than they're worth. You will end up with no friends, or you will end up with friends who don't really want to spend time with you. You may have friends, but you'll feel this distance growing. Now, if you're feeling distance right now in your life, there's probably a reason for it. So go within yourself and ask, what am I putting out into the universe that is making people not want to spend time with me? And fix it. Or adapt it. So I will write these diary entries and I will say, all right, here's what I'm thinking, and blah, 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 blah. And I think they did this because of this. And I'll write out all the bullshit. And then I'll go, all right, now let's reflect. What other possible reasons could there be for that? Well, I guess they could blah, blah, blah. And you know what? If I actually think logically, there was this time 2 weeks ago when they blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that makes sense because, if you think logically, they wouldn't do that if they meant that. So that must mean that they do actually blah, blah, blah. This is what I do. And this is how I stop myself from affecting my friends and affecting the people that I love. Because I've probably killed 9 out of 10 unnecessary shitty conversations in the last year. Now, admittedly, I may have a friend or two who listens to this. Hopefully not. But I may have a friend or two who listens to this and they go, bullshit, we had an unnecessary conversation last week. I'm not saying unnecessary conversations will never happen. I'm just saying it won't happen as often. And now, thinking about it logically, I can't think of a person who might be like, there has been a lot. I can think of a few people like Ben who might go, he has been sort of better at like lowering his neurocracy. The real thing is I'm not. I'm still a very neurotic person. I've just developed tools to deal with that myself. And from that, I'm hoping I will grow more and more and more out of this, or my brain will create new pathways that get me from A to C without having to go past B. B being the unnecessary, neurotic, needy conversation or behaviors. So I found diaries to be really, really important. And like I've just been saying, it's been going on for about a year now, and I am getting better. I can think of conversations I've had with people where I've gone, in fact, a friend of mine I had a conversation with that felt, and then literally I called them like an hour later and I was like, I wish more than anything in the world that I hadn't have said that. I hadn't opened up this conversation, because I don't believe it's necessary. And I think it's maybe just like, it's me needing something from you that you don't need to give me. I didn't say it that eloquently. I called up like, I'm a fucking idiot. I should not have said anything. Can we just pretend that never happened? And they were very courteous about it. And they were like, yeah, of course. There's nothing wrong with saying sorry as well. And there's a lot of power in telling people that you're wrong, especially if you are wrong. It happened to me in Siena the other day. I acted like a dickhead. Now, keep in mind, the situation overall, and I'm comfortable saying this because she would agree with me, but the situation overall, I wasn't wrong. My reaction to getting to the peak of the situation and realizing I can't fucking handle this, I reacted. I didn't type it out. I said, well, she said something like, because I was walking out the door to go back to my place, and she went, oh, why are you leaving? And I said, because you're fucking bop. And I said, it was like 4 or 5 words, but I said, because you're something on the fucking something. And that's in honest and full truth. That's how I said it. And that's not okay. It's not an okay behavior. That's not the first time I've come back to Siena. We don't really fight. We're not big fighters. We love each other very much. And we understand each other. And I think we understand each other because I'm about 5 years ahead in my journey of, it's not that long. Like, I don't know. I'm just a little bit more ahead in my journey of narcissistic neurocracy. Again, if neurocracy is a word. Now, I know Siena's neurotic, and I think she's narcissistic. I don't know. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. I think she would agree. And if she doesn't, I'm so sorry. But we are very similar, and we've noticed this in each other. Especially in the way that we like seek validation romantically and the things we pursue romantically. I've learned a lot of stuff that I see in her, and she recognizes the stuff that I do that I like, and I share with her, and I go, listen, I'm only coming at you, and we're only talking about this because I would do the exact same thing, babe. I'm not better than you. I just have the ability. It's like I'm talking to myself. And so we get each other in that way. So if we do have a blow up, it's very rare. And it has only happened twice. And that's the blow up, by the way, me going, because you're always fucking blah, blah, blah. And then walking away. End of conversation. I don't think it's okay. I don't think there is ever really a reason to raise your voice at someone. A lot of people disagree with that. That's a personal thing of mine that I learnt in my last relationship. It will happen. Obviously it's going to happen, but I don't think there's ever a reason to be yelling, because I think the second you stop yelling, you're no longer communicating. You're no longer talking. You're no longer understanding each other. You're just trying to be the loudest person. No one has ever gone, all right, well, I guess you're right. And I understand your perspective, okay? And I'm really sorry. All right, I apologize. My behaviors were unnecessary. They're rude and they're coming from a place of self-hatred and it's got nothing to do with you. And I love you very much. What do you want for dinner? Like, that doesn't happen. The second you're yelling, you can't communicate. So you have to try your hardest, and it's really fucking hard. I'll tell you that when these fucking bitches, when these yappy, whatever. But I think for both sides, you know, in the realm of, I'm talking about heterosexual relationships, the only relationship I can't comment on same-sex relationships or anything in between these two worlds, because I only experienced this world of a heterosexual man and a heterosexual woman. That's not true. A heterosexual man and a bisexual or a pansexual or just the women that I date are always like, I'll take a bit of everything. Was that offensive? I don't know. Point is, I date a lot of bisexual women. I think it's because they're attracted to me because I'm so soft. I'm like a blend, but it's so stupid. I'm soft and nice. So they're like, oh, this is kind of a man, but not quite. Shut the fuck up. Point is, I am in a heteronormative dynamic. So I'm commenting on that. There are obviously times when women will also be like, this fucking idiot doesn't, and they want to yell themselves. And they do. We all yell. But you have to try your hardest to not to yell. Yelling is not useful. Yelling has never resolved anything. No one has ever come, and it's also a really difficult thing to come down from, is yelling. It's a high emotional thing, and to come down and get back to normal and communicating is really difficult. Blowing up is unnecessary. So there's been 2 times, that one time with Sienna, and then another time I was just unnecessarily angry. And I came back to her and I said, look, I just want to apologize. You know, and it's so long ago, I can't even remember the fight. But I was like, look, I still do believe what I'm saying is rooted in some feeling of me feeling like I'm helping or that I'm right and that I want to, you know, I want us to get on the same page about this. But there was absolutely no reason for me to react that way, talk to you that way, and it's so not okay. And she's like, bro, it's fine. And I'm like, I know, I just want to tell you that, I just want to apologize to you. I don't need you to say that's okay or anything like that. I just want to tell you that that's not okay, and I'm sorry, I won't do that again. That's an incredibly useful tool because that lets the other person know that you're not insane, all right? You can resolve, fellas, ladies, everything in between. You can resolve so much bullshit in your life if you take ownership of your shortcomings. Now, that can get incredibly frustrating if the other person or the other people never do the same thing. But you'll feel like a crazy weight come off your chest if you just, sorry, Sienna's looking at me through the window like, you want an icy Paul? You'll feel a crazy weight come off your chest if you just own up to your own shortcomings and you say, sorry, I've lost my train of thought because I was trying to communicate with Sienna through the window to be like, no, I'm fine. Go away. I'm on a train of thought. You fucking bitch. I think my point overall is don't be so fucking egotistical. There are 2 perspectives in every single conversation, every single argument. There are 2 perspectives. And yours is not 100% right. It's never 100% right. There are always 2 sides to every story. And if you are in any kind of situation where you are saying to yourself, I was 100% right and they were 100% wrong, you are so fucked. And you are the problem in the world. I think a lot of shit that's going on right now in terms of like new shit like cancel culture and politics and blah, 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 comes down to, and politics being a big one, comes down to a fundamental belief that you're 100% right and the other side is 100% wrong. And having zero empathy and understanding of the other side. Now, I've started doing this thing, right? Now, this is not something I would traditionally share because this is me using something that traditionally right-wing people would say But I'm using it as sort of like a colloquial joke to myself to just say, well, let's wait till we hear the other side. Which is, I say, when someone says something to me and blah, 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 and it's about two things, two people, two groups, two whatever, I'll say, well, let's wait till we see the body cam footage. Now, that's a joke. I've never actually seen something really fucked up happen from a cop to anybody and say, well, let's wait till we see the body cam footage. That's a joke that traditionally right-wing people, pro-cop people will say, let's wait till we see the body cam footage. But there was something in there that I found that I connected with that I now use as kind of a joke. And I use it a lot with Sienna. I use it a lot with Aiden. I say, let's wait. And it's literally two people being like, she was supposed to wear this, and I told her not to wear that to my birthday, and she fucking did. And she's a fucking bitch. And I'll say, oh, that does sound crazy, but let's wait till we see the body cam footage first. I won't say this to that person, but if someone's telling me about two other people having a fight, I'll say, yeah, let's wait till we see the body cam footage. Because that's happened to me a lot. Because, yeah, maybe she was having a birthday, and the theme of the birthday was everybody wears blue, and then she would wear green, and then she would stand out at her own birthday and have all these blue people around. Narcissistic, sure. This has never happened, by the way. This is a fake scenario I'm making up. But then her friend comes to the birthday, and she's wearing green? Fucking unbelievable. Fucking bitch, whatever it is. Now, on paper, you'll go, yeah, that's pretty fucking bad. Like, that is pretty rotten behavior from the friend. But let's see the body cam footage first. Now, let's go to the friend who, that morning, she wakes up, she gets a text from her dad saying, look, I've been speaking to your mother. We can't support you emotionally anymore. You've been too much of a burden. The way that you talk to your brothers is not okay, and we're getting out of here. And now in her perspective, she's just like, her brothers are so mean to her, and she's just saying, could you guys please just leave me alone? And her family are all ganging up on her. She goes, fuck, all right, so my family hates me. And all right, well, what have I got to do tonight? Oh, I've got to go to that thing. And I was going to get a spray tan because I really hate my skin and I don't want people to see the pimples on my chest or whatever. And I was like, I'll go get the spray tan. And you go there and she gets there and her card gets declined. And she's like, fuck, so now I got to go get some shitty spray tan from the store, and I get it and I put it on, but I put it on uneven because my boyfriend just left me and he's not there to help me apply it. Whatever, that's fine. All right. Oh my God, my only blue dress. My blue dress is dirty. That's fine. The theme is blue. I'll get blue. I'll take it down to my washing machine's broken, so I better take it to the laundromat and chuck it in the washing machine. And it comes down. Oh my God, I put it in with this fucking green shirt, and it's made the blue sort of turn turquoise. I mean, I guess turquoise is kind of blue, but it's also kind of green. Look, it looks blue enough. Oh man, I'm going to be late, and she's so important to me. I don't want to be late to her party. All right. I'll get her a big present. I'll get her a big present to make it up to her. And she buys her a big, expensive present. She comes to the party and puts the big, expensive present on the table. It's a new PS5 with a triple-ended dildo out the side of it. And she's got a turquoise dress on, and her friend comes in and sees turquoise and assumes it's green and now fucking hates her. Now, if you talk to this girl, you totally understand her side of the argument. If you talk to girl A, whose birthday it is, you also understand her side of the argument. You got a girl who's having a birthday who, regardless of how you feel about birthdays, I think it's all a bit silly, but she wants to feel special on her birthday. She wants to feel like her friends love her and it's her day, and that's okay. I empathize with that situation of wanting to feel important, wanting to feel like you matter and you're loved. And then your friend comes outside of the theme and fucks up the whole dynamic. But I also see this girl's perspective. She's had a really bad day and she's trying so fucking hard and fucked up unintentionally. Wasn't going in this situation to hurt anybody. In fact, she was trying to make sure that her friend had a nice birthday. She hasn't even seen the expensive gift that she got her yet because she's too busy walking around the party bitching at her to other people. This happens all the fucking time. And it's learning this, let's see the body cam footage thing, has made me a bit of a better person. Because when I'm having a problem with somebody, I will say to myself, let's see the body cam footage. It's sounding more and more fucked up as I go on. Please ignore the disgusting, diminish the because use the body cam footage is traditionally about a cop killing and murdering an innocent person. So I'm using this term very lightly for two girls fucking having an argument. But it was just the easiest way. Once I heard that out loud, I was like, that's kind of like profound. If you remove it from the situation of a cop murdering somebody, it is this sort of profound, easy way to say, let's wait till we've heard the whole story. Instead of getting one side of the story and then everybody hears that first side. Because right now, a lot of people, interactions. Now, again, I live in a very particular life and I'm surrounded by the worst of the worst in terms of emotions, which is theater people. We suck. But I have found in the circles of friends that I who are outside of that, normal people, not us fucked up idiots, normal people do experience this. They do experience these weird dynamics where this person's bitching about this person and this person, it happens. It's not just a theater person thing. Sure, we are emotionally very, very needy and just disgusting in general. But your average person does also experience these social politics. And it's at this, what I've noticed is instead of trying to understand each other, it's a race. It's almost a race to get your side out first. Because if you get your side out first, they're rarely going to listen to the other side. So you got to race to make sure that everyone hears your perspective. That's my perspective. And I've done it. I'm really guilty of it, making sure that everyone hears this side before they spread their bullshit. And I say bullshit unironically. I really mean it. When I'm in the middle of this shit, I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. But it's not bullshit. It's another side. This happened to me recently where I'd had an argument with some people. Now, I totally understand their side because I know they don't understand my side. And the way that they're reading this situation is that I did A because of B. And they think that because I reacted in this way, which makes it really easy for them. I'm trying to be really vague, and I'm sorry about that. It's easy for my reaction to line up with what B is, the reason I did A. God, that's such a bad way to describe it. The point being, that's not the reason why I did it. And they don't know the reason why I did it. And if I had the chance to sit down with them and explain it, they would understand. And they would go, oh, I can see that. Well, just so you know, that's not why we did it. In fact, we thought really hard to describe vaguely. So I'll just leave it at that. The point being that there are many times in my life where I've had these things. Sort of like two big ones in the last 2 years where it's been a serious problem, where people have had a serious problem with me because of something that I've said or done. And them thinking it's because of this reason, which is what fuels their anger, when in fact it's because of this reason. And that, if they heard that, they would go, oh, okay, sure, maybe they wouldn't come down from that place, but at least I'll have had the chance to connect with them and let them know that I'm not a shitty person. In fact, I was personally felt like I was the target of some bullshit. I'll leave it at that because that's vague and annoying and not fun to talk about on a podcast because I can't give you details because I don't want to fucking throw anyone under the bus. And I also don't want to open up wounds that have since healed. But the point being, don't just assume you're 100% right because there may be an interesting perspective on the other side that you'll go, oh, I guess that makes sense. Now, you might not walk away going, you're 100% right, but you'll go, okay, we understand each other a bit better. Let's shake hands or let's hug or let's kiss or whatever your dynamic is with this person you're arguing with. And let's step away and let's let it go. And if you step away and let things go, boy, fucking heck, howdy, is your life going to feel better. So, I write diary entries. I do diary entries. And it's really good for my brain to get shit out on paper, to type shit out, and then I don't put it out to the people I care about. But I'm also a crazy person, and I live alone. So you know what I do a lot? I talk to Ellie, and I hash things out with Ellie. I will look at it. My dog, by the way, if you don't know me personally, I look at my dog and I'll be like, look, because here's the fucking thing. When I told her this, she fucking was like, and I'm like, does that make sense? Yeah, I agree. And I'll give her a voice. Is that crazy? 100%. But that's also been a really useful tool for me to just get shit off my chest. It's the same as, typing it out. I voice things. And there's a comedian, Dan Soder, who does a funny bit about shower arguments. When you have arguments in the shower, and he's like, my self-esteem is so low that I lose 50% of my shower arguments. Funny bit, but also it's not a bad thing. I lose 50% of the fucking arguments I have with Ellie, with a dog, because I'm of limited mental capacity. But I'll be like, and she said this, and I'll be like, yeah, you're probably right. I didn't really see it from that perspective. If someone walked in, I would be fucking sectioned. But I will say, and I'll be like, all right, let's put it, Ellie, let's just put it like this. If she wasn't saying this for this reason, what else could she be saying it for? That's a really good point. I didn't think about it like that. Yeah. I guess my sister isn't a bitch. Or whatever fucking argument you're having. It's good. And then, I don't know, I like talking to the community, and I like something that's been happening more and more recently on my stream. By the way, hello, I'm GMat. I do stuff online. If you're listening to this and you don't know my actual content, I do YouTube, The Real GMat on YouTube, The Real GMat on Twitch. We have another podcast, Mentally Illegal, if you don't listen to that. And if you're listening to audio version of this, you're listening to it on the GMat podcast feed. I should probably start a new feed, maybe. Should I start a new feed? Maybe I'll release this one on both. And I'll say, if you want to hear more of the diary, go over to, I don't know. Did I put this on the GMat podcast feed? Because there are a lot of people who subscribe to that. I don't know. We'll work it out. The point is, if this is on the GMat podcast feed, it may move over to its own thing called The Diary or GMat Diary or something similar. The point is, if you're watching this and you don't know me, hi, I'm GMat. I make stuff online. I lost my total train of thought there. I guess it doesn't matter. The point is, I remember on Twitch, every now and again, your brain gets full. My brain gets filled to the brim with anxieties and stresses. And there was a point in time where I didn't want to burden my viewership, my community with that bullshit. But we found a lot of enjoyment and sometimes entertainment in getting on stream and saying, guys, we're not playing games today because I'm just not feeling it. Here's the deal. I don't know what's fucking wrong with me at the moment. I'm feeling this, and then I talk to them, and it gives me a place to... Now, obviously, this is a one-sided relationship. Yeah. I try my best to say, tell me what you're feeling, talk to me. And people will write out a message, and I'll go, that's interesting, and I'll give them my perspective. But it can't be a stream of consciousness because they're tippy-tappy typing, and I'm tippy-tappy talking. And tippy-tappy talking is a lot easier for just stream of consciousness, getting shit off your chest, thinking shit out loud. And these streams have traditionally been really kind of beautiful and enjoyable and cathartic. So then I thought, I have these conversations all the time with Ellie. That's a funny sentence out loud. I have these conversations with Ellie. I type stuff out. Why not put up another podcast? Because I'm always trying to make new shit. And this might not be a weekly thing, but sometimes you get to the brim and you go, I just want to voice some stuff. Now, the important thing to remember in this process, and I should start every podcast by saying this, if this, if people enjoy this and I move forward with it, I should start every diary entry by saying, this is a stream of consciousness. I don't stand behind anything I'm saying 100%. This is just a great way for me to put my feelings out in this whiteboard, this FBI agent string connecting different photos. This is me as a way to put it out in front of me and piece the pieces together so it doesn't sit inside me, where it's much harder to, you could do a puzzle out on a table, or I can swallow 65 pieces of a puzzle and try and do it internally by moving my body around. It's fucking impossible. You can't do it that way. I feel the same way about some feelings that I have. I want to put them out, look at them and go, that's trash, throw that in the bin. That doesn't make sense, throw that in the bin. This could be that, but that could connect with that. And you get a better, well-rounded personality and understanding of situations that are filled with heavy emotions by putting it out in front of you and looking at it from a new perspective. That's kind of what this is. I just want to talk and go back and forth and try and work out, what is real, what is bullshit, what's a piece that you're trying to take from A to B. It's this combination of airing feelings. Totally lost my train of thought there. Again, it was another situation where Sienna went by the window and I was worried I was going to have to interact with her. And then I just started saying things that had nothing to do with anything. I think I said connecting A to B. What the fuck does that mean? Let me start that again and actually put my full brain into this thought. This podcast, diary, the GMat diary, whatever it is a great way for me to put some bullshit out and take a look at it. Because I think about a lot of things. I'm constantly thinking. I wish I could turn my brain off. I'm constantly thinking. I'm not thinking about cool things like how to cure cancer, but I'm thinking about, now why the fuck did Blake Lively say blah, blah, that shit. And I think what I found in the Twitch stream is that some people do connect with the things that I'm saying and they do apply it to their own life. And sometimes it's helpful to hear someone else go through the process. I just shared with a friend of mine last night. I was on the phone and I said, they were going through something that I connected with. And I went, when I was blah, 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 and I try my best to not offer advice to people unless they ask for it. I try to sometimes people just need to do what I'm doing right now, which is rant and get stuff off their chest. And you just need to listen. Another important tool, people, take that on board. Don't offer advice unless it's asked for. But in this instance, I did. But it wasn't advice. It was wisdom, I guess. I said, when I was going through ABC, which is very similar to your ABC, Ben said something that I found really profound. And it was really, really wise. And I shared with them what Ben said. Now, that's not the same as giving advice. I will say, I don't want to make up excuses for me not listening and just talking. But I did. I listened a lot. I'm pretty good at that. That's a skill that I do have, which is just listening to a person complain. Because people need to do what I'm doing right now. Unfortunately, some people don't have a fucking $300 microphone and a $1,200 mixer and a platform to put their shit on. So you talk to your friends about it. You need friends who will just listen. And unfortunately, you guys don't have a fucking choice. Point being, sometimes I'll say something and people will go, oh, that's I like that. And they'll connect it to their own lives. And it can be helpful. Now, that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not saying I'm doing this to help people. Of course not. I'm doing this to help myself. Because I think it's good to have these kind of conversations. And by giving myself a context to do it, fucking hell yeah. I'll love a context to fucking sit in front of a microphone and just blurt all my bullshit out. And now I don't need to go to a person and hope that they'll listen. I just get to talk. And there is so much benefit to talking. Do you have a podcast? If the answer is no, find a friend who'll just listen. Or there's nothing wrong with telling people what you need. Go into the conversation and say, I am going to rant and I would like for you to listen. And 9 times out of 10, they will say, go for it. 1 time out of 10, they won't. And that's a wonderful tool because then you learn who to cut out of your life. That 1 out of 10. If they come back with anything even remotely like, if you want me to just sit here and shut up, well, then you should go talk to a wall Great news, you just found an enemy. Fuck them off. That's not a friend. That's stupid. Anyways, I'll wrap up this diary entry by saying this is why I want to do the diary. Now, next time, I might have a topic to talk about, but I'm generally pretty good at like stream of consciousness. I've developed this skill, and it does make it really, really helpful in therapy and in talking to Ellie and in airing my thoughts. I don't have a hard time just letting the thoughts come. And then sometimes you'll have a thought come and it'll come out and you'll be like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. But I'm really glad that came up. So hopefully in the next diary entry, I won't be talking about why I'm doing the diary entry. I'll just be talking about some shit that I've had feelings with that I want to talk about. But for now, it's just the clippings in the tin. That's a reference no one's going to get. For now, it is just this. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment and tell me how you feel about this format. If you're listening to this on audio, this first episode, I'm going to put it on the GMat podcast channel, right? And then I'm going to encourage people to come over to the other channel, which I will say in an intro to this podcast and an outro to this podcast. That's for the audio feed. The visual feed will always go on, you guessed it, GMat Podcasts on YouTube, where you can find the GMat Podcast, Mentally Illegal, Bachelors of Art, the Jazzcast, and GMat Diary. Muchos love to you all. Hope to see you in the comments.